All right, welcome to Brant Cast. Got a couple of my good friends here. I think it's gonna be a good night. Got my buddy Scott Kidney over here, and my buddy Nick. I haven't seen him for years. Just seen him today. Had some good conversations.
Long, yeah, man. So long.
So, what you been up to, man?
Nothing, bro. Man, a lot, but I just finally calmed down, if that makes sense, man. Because I was married for 10 years, and that went to shit, man. Just for real. What, 4 years ago? 4 years I was homeless.
How long ago was you in?
My kids.
How long ago was you in the military?
I got out of the military in 2000. Memory's not always bad. I don't want to lie. It was in 2008 to 2012. 2012. And then when I got out, I was still considered in the military, like I could get called back, but then, my VA stuff came and was like, yeah. So now I'm not allowed to work.
Army, Marine?
Army, yeah.
And where was you stationed at?
Fort Drum, New York. The cold's still fucking cold. Up there, mountain country. It's like Canada, like up past the Niagara Falls.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I was down in All Clean, Texas for a little while. I got a kid down in Texas. Actually, I think they're in North Carolina now. But I don't know. She don't talk to me. We won't talk about that one. But okay, Scott, let's go to you, man. So what's been going on in your life? Where you work? What you do?
Nothing too exciting. Haven't left the area. It's hard to get out of here. But yeah, just working for AEP, doing some logistic kind of scheduling work for them, and just making sure that everybody's got the lights on.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about where I'm gonna go with this. You pretty much came. I know you watched my last podcast. We get into your dad and him using drugs and kind of being on the other side of the drug use and seeing it from another point of view.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's get into that a little bit on. Let's hear a little bit about what your point of view of it is from your side.
Yeah, so obviously, growing up, me and you were pretty good friends, at least the way I remember it, hanging out, each other's houses. We had older sisters that were the same age, so they hung out. It's like, I remember going over to your place with her and just hanging out with you by default because they were doing stuff, and so we kind of grew up close. And at some point, like you said earlier, I remember it the same way. 6th grade, things just started to change, and you were making one decision, I was making the other, and we just kind of grew apart. And I think by high school, I don't even think we talked. Maybe a handful of times through high school.
Well, I only made it my sophomore year. I got expelled. I remember. I'll tell the story on that. My sophomore year, I was already full blown eating pills, doing whatever. And I remember I had a methadone wafer, and I had ate it and went to school. I was on probation and everything, and I remember I couldn't hold my head up in class. Fucking pathetic. It was pretty bad. They took me to the office, then they drug tested me, and I had clean pee with me, and so the drug test came back as I was clean, but they knew. I couldn't hold my head up, man. And we had a new principal that he was kind of cleaning the school out, which was probably a good thing. He got a lot. Everybody that everybody I was friends with, think about it, they all got kicked out of school back to back, right when we got the new principal, which, I don't know, like I said, probably was a good thing. I remember after that going and doing drugs with your dad, and then I remember, it was just kind of turned into, he was, when I look at him and then I look at you, I look at, I don't want to really put him down, but, I try not to be that. You know what I mean? I look at my kids, and like I was telling you earlier, my biggest thing is just be there for your kids, man. You don't have to give no money to them. You don't have to. When Christmas time comes, tell them Merry Christmas, take them somewhere, take them to the damn park, whatever. Just be there for them, love them, man. It's really not. You don't have to. Everybody thinks it's material things, and it's like, if you tell your kids you're gonna do something for them, stick to it, and always remember, even with my little one, he's got a bad mouth. He's only 3. And it's is that his fault? No,
Yeah.
it's my fault. It's he gets it from me. He gets it from his brothers. That's why I tell him like you know, when it comes to the little ones, you got to be a good role model because they're watching every move you make. I mean, it's bad. You're getting ready to have a kid though.
Yeah.
Is it a little girl or a little boy?
Little girl. Got about 6 months left, 5 or 6 months left.
How many you got?
None.
None? Oh, so your
One,
first
yeah.
one? Oh,
How many
man.
kids you got?
I've got 6. 4 of my own. She comes with 2. They're mine too.
Yeah, that's how mine is.
So-
I got 5, getting ready to have 6, and I got a stepdaughter up there that, you know, I treat her just like she's one of mine. I don't know. You got anything in the military you want to talk about?
No, but I do want to chime in what you just said. I will get to that, but what you're saying, because I didn't know that. I did not know that about you with your dad and stuff with the drugs. Like, 'cause my mom, you know, 2 years ago, she overdosed, but she's been an avid user my whole life. Like, my sister still messes around sometime, like she's trying to, you know, but it's hard, you know.
It's hard to
So, I never knew that. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's something, you know, small world that we were probably all going through the same fucking things, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
that-
his biggest setback was alcohol for him, but I mean, I mean, it all goes
It all
together
ties
for
together.
a lot of people. So, and that's kind of, you know, kind of the perspective I wanted to come from was I never got into that. You know, made a conscious decision to try and avoid, you know, staying out of that any serious type of trouble growing up, and. But that comes with its own set of challenges, right?
Definitely.
Especially, you know, I feel like for a lot of kids that hits right around junior high.
Well, you know. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, you get in, you're that age, about to be a teenager, and I feel like for us it happened. We got there, and there were some older kids, a year or 2 older, that were already making bad decisions, and it's like you kind of started hanging out with them, and then, you know, for me, it's like I could do that. Do I want to though? But then you start thinking about, man, I'm gonna be missing out. I'm gonna be missing out, hanging out. You know, they're probably having fun doing this shit. I'm gonna be missing out on all that, and you don't want to miss out. And I feel like that's why a lot of kids, even if they don't want to get into it, they do it anyway, just because they don't want to miss out.
Well, I think a big thing for me was I wouldn't say peer pressure at all because you know you make all your own decisions.
Yeah.
But you know when it came to the older crowd, I was a football manager in '96 when we went undefeated, and that whole team was fucked up. And so when I was the little kid, and at 13, 14 years old, to be around the grown men that was doing what they was doing, they're like, oh, he's cool, that's little Brant, because they already knew me.
Yeah.
And then it came with, like, once I learned a little bit of, you would call it the game of selling weed or doing whatever, I had, like, it made me feel like I was the man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's
You can get
pathetic.
that,
It sounds pathetic now when you say it, you know what I mean? But it made me feel like I was popular
On top
and I
of the
was
world,
needed.
yeah.
I was needed. Like I don't know, some people, like, need that feeling of need. Like, they need
Yeah.
to feel like somebody needs them. And you know what? There's times that I still feel like that way, but now it's like my kids need me. Like, you know what I mean? I kind of use it. I try to use it for the positive.
Yeah.
I try to do everything as legit as possible. You know what I mean? It's just like that era. I felt like I felt needed. I felt it feels good, man. It feels good to do fucked up things and people. It's like a reward.
Yeah, like you're getting rewarded for
Yeah.
it, but in all reality, you're actually like punishing yourself. But they're the euphoric like feeling of that, like
Well-
I do this, everybody knows me. This is what like, and it's like how you can just go, like you said, oh that's that's a little Brant, Like,
It is.
it's like that's and that's really you get that, and it's like how you carry it. Even people that wouldn't know you see somebody do that instantly. Oh, there you go. So now you're back on your mountain. I feel that. Just like you said, Scott. Me watching my mom and my sister being strung out so long, I knew like at like an early age, like I started questioning shit. And she stayed in the back there behind Big Bear, the apartments. Yeah, man. I used to she'd get served right there with me in this car. I'd never seen a car phone before. I'm like 7, and I'm like, why does he have a car phone? Like, and it's just this dude from Cleveland coming down here to serve my mom. I don't know what's going on, you know, one of them kids that like penny candy. Remember penny candy?
Yeah.
And I'd be digging through a purse and there'd be syringes and stuff. And it's just like, this
That's
is what
crazy.
this is. And nobody told me, but it was like I came to the conclusion, like, my mom's on drugs. I don't know
and
what,
at
but I
that
know
time-
drugs were, but I
well,
knew she was fucked off.
And probably at that point, like when you would see them things, you would just think that was normal
Yeah,
because you're a kid.
definitely.
Like that's
You
a
know,
big.
like,
That's the
serious
thing about
and
stuff.
when you're a kid. Whatever my little 3-year-old sees, he thinks is normal.
Mm-hmm.
If I was sitting here doing drugs every day, like he would just think that, oh, that's what
Yeah.
everybody does.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's
The movie Blood In, Blood Out, you ever seen it?
I don't know.
It's a Mexican gang movie back in the 90s. It's really good. It's long, but it's really good. I advise you to watch it. You'll
Yeah,
like
check
it.
that out.
But one of the kids, the kid overdoses because he sees his brother, you know, using, and they go out do something, and when they walk back in, the overdose with the, you know, like being a kids like that, like being able, you know, it's like, damn, like it took me a long time to smoke weed. I didn't start smoking weed, and I love smoking weed because it's like helps me with my PTSD. Because without that shit, I would fucking flip the fuck out.
Well, you know, that's why I actually have somebody coming, hopefully coming in the future that he owns dispensaries, and
Yeah.
that's one big thing that, you know, I believe in. I believe there's another guy that I got that he microdoses in mushrooms,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that it could be a good
I've
thing.
done
I think
that.
anything that is done the right way or used it the right way, like my buddy has one of my other friends, he's got 3 autistic kids,
Mhm.
and they had him on all kinds of pills, and he ended up like he's got a medical card,
Mhm.
and he started microdosing them. He's ended up getting them off all the pills that they were on. So I mean, there's times that I'm a believer. I think that it can be abused in a way. I think
Yeah.
any drug can be abused though. I think
Yep.
you know that's like the golden rule to me. You can abuse anything. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
definitely.
abuse food and
You
get
can do-
fat. You know what I'm
Soda,
saying? You
soda.
can-
I'm still
Sugar,
addicted to
salt.
soda.
So I mean, it can go with anything at all. I think by you going, like I was telling Scott earlier, you know, I can't tell you exactly how your life would have turned out down
Yeah.
here, but I really think I was telling Scott, I was like, you know, me and you were really good friends,
Mhm.
really good friends. So I think that there's a real good possibility you would have been in the
I
same
know.
shit that I was.
I know. It just, you know, the only thing I missed was like, cause when I moved, like it was a whole eye opener. Like coming from down here was like predominantly white, and like, you know, my grandma and everything, and my family. My dad, I don't know if you know this, like my dad was a big name out here basketball. Like he could have went pro. That's all I heard
Who
last
was
night.
that?
My dad, Larry Williams, Nick Williams.
Oh,
Y'all
I didn't
know?
know.
Yeah.
I didn't put
you
two
know-
and two together.
I remember going into school and seeing the trophy case was stuff in there from all basketball shit. Like, you know what I mean? You know, going through to, you know, Kirkwood. It was Kirkwood Middle School? Yeah,
Yeah.
going through the catwalk, you know. So it's like, stuff like that. It's like, I could have been able to play basketball, and I probably, like, you know what I mean? It would have been easier for me. Because I went out there and I ain't fit in at all. Like, at all. Like, it's just ghetto as fuck.
You know what? Like,
It's ghetto, and it was new to me because, you know, we're
Yeah.
Bridgeport. That shit don't happen. Like, you know what I mean? I'm seeing watching kids fucking
Yeah.
do shit that we, you know what I mean? It's like 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds out like doing crazy shit. Like, what the fuck? And like, I can only imagine what the fuck's going on with everybody else. You know, it's horrible. It's just like gang violence and stuff, dumb shit. I got expelled from high school
For what?
Fighting. Well, it was always protecting myself because I didn't really have too many of the friends, you know what I mean? I was small, I know y'all remember.
Yeah.
I think you were probably the only person smaller than me in all the pictures that we have. We always in the front, like I got school pictures with like Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy and stuff like that. And that, wasn't that their name, Mrs.
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yep. And it was just like, you know, it was like I had a target on my back because nobody knew who, you know what I mean? And that's how it is out there.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's so weird. Like, I find it when I went to Texas or down south, people don't like, you know, they're really nice. Hey, how you doing? Up there, a lot of people won't talk to you back. And if you're like, if I'm looking at something, even if I'm looking past somebody will probably say, what the fuck are you looking at? You know?
Yeah, that's
Like, it's not as a friendly atmosphere. Not everybody, but it's just that populace. Everybody has it's a crab in a bucket mentality, you know what I mean? And just like how you said, there's so many people I know that they get that top feeling. Like, you know what I mean? They ain't doing nothing with their life, but, you know, waking up, playing the game, selling some drugs, and then, you know, going and kicking it and wasting all their money, you know, buying designer stuff, but you're really not doing anything, you know?
Yeah,
like,
well, that's what I was telling him. You can run on a treadmill for as many miles as you want, but you ain't gonna go nowhere.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's funny you mentioned putting a target on your back because that's something else that I was going to bring up, talking about when, you know, we were coming up and it's like, a lot of kids probably aren't going to turn down doing some of these
Yeah.
things, you know, smoking cigarettes
Yep.
in the alley and stealing from the gas station because they don't want to put a target on their back
Yeah.
about, you know, being made fun of and getting,
Yep.
because that happened to
'Cause
me, you know, a
yeah.
lot of times I didn't, you know, would turn down doing all this shit and it's, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you little pussy
Yeah,
and this and that.
they
and
try to
then
make it
come
seem
the
like you're
names
this
and-
pansy boy because you
know,
don't want
you
to do
get
it.
made fun of a little bit, and
Yep.
at that age, that's the last thing you want to do as a kid is put
Exactly.
a target on your back that, you know, people just start making fun of you. And like you said, I was, you know, naturally just not a big guy, and then on top of that, I was a year ahead of what I should have been in high school. So everybody's already a year
Yeah.
older than me on top of that. And so, you know, I already had a target on my back to begin with because of that. So.
Well, I remember when you guys still had like parties at your house, and I remember even like Georgie had parties, and I just remember like I don't remember like shit getting broke at your house, but I remember going to Georgie's, and I just remember you remember Georgie, don't you?
Oh, Georgie,
Yeah, well-
Snyder.
Yeah,
Snodowski.
Snot. Wait, what was
Snodowski.
it? Snodowski?
Yeah.
That's how you say it?
I just remember like going there and
He had
like,
a tail?
shit getting broke. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
his parties were a little more lawless than mine, you know. But that's
just what you said, like how you, and piggyback off both of what y'all said, I believe that's true because, you know, I don't know if you remember this. You remember them calling the police on me, you, and Monica, and we were at the basketball court at Kirkwood, like right there, and y'all were smoking a cigarette, and I got in trouble for it. I didn't smoke at all. You guys were smoking, and I was just hanging out with y'all. It was in that little cubby hole in the back by the
I
little.
remember.
Man, I remember that scared the shit out of me because I was never in trouble, and I had to go home because I had a little thing and said, I gave it to my mom. My mom was like, "Oh fuck that," you know. But I never told my grandma because my grandma would kick my ass.
Yeah, I remember that was the one good thing that you had in your life, man, was your grandma. And like I said, like things that happened, it was a blessing in disguise because who knows what would happen if you'd have stayed here. And even though you got kicked out of school there, obviously you ended up in the military. You know what I mean? And you was able to retire from the military.
Yeah.
that's like
that is my
to
big
me. I
blessing.
want to say thanks for serving right off the rip.
Appreciate it.
That's big.
Now, if you want to know something, I never do that shit again. I went in there fucking blind. Like, I didn't know nothing about the military. I just knew I wasn't doing shit up there. I'm going to either go to jail for doing dumb shit or, you know, do something. I had a cousin and my best friend went to the military from high school. And he was already in the military. See, I went to high school for 5 years because I got expelled. I kept wanting to graduate. And every time I would go there, it would be like something, man. Like, something. The expulsion, there was a fight, and it was a big-ass riot. They set the bathrooms on fire. We're out in the parking lot. We're fighting. Like, it's blacks versus Hispanics. Like, that was the big thing, you know? Blacks versus Hispanics. And then you see fucking cars pulling up to the high school, and grown men are jumping out. Like, it's a big, like, bad. Like, I got tasers and everything. It was
that's
bad,
crazy.
man. So, and, like, that's just one incident. Then one time I came back, like, in 1 year, and just got off of my 7-day suspension, you know, or they were going to give me 10, but they, 7. I walk in the thing, I'd have a first day of class, I'm leaving the school, and as I'm walking out, I see this dude, and I knew it's like, this dude ain't supposed to be in this school, you know? Whole ass grown man. I woke up in the ambulance. I remember seeing it, and all I remember is he came, grabbed me, threw me in the music hall, and there's so many people, and I just don't remember. I got to see the footage, and it was pretty bad. He fucking kicked my ass.
Well, that was
because I beat up his nephew, but his nephew, like, stabbed me. You know, like, stabbed me. Like, I still got a scar right here.
That's
I
crazy.
beaten him up. He stabbed me, and then I got in trouble for that. We fought across the street at the school, so that's why they couldn't really do nothing. You know, it was at the convenient, across the street. But soon as I got back, man, it was like I felt whole set up. I'm just walking, looking stupid, leaving like, hey, I'm back. Had a great day in school. No.
I couldn't see. It's crazy that like you went through all that because, like I said, when I remember like the Nikki,
I had to get
remember
hard. Going out there.
You know what I mean? It was
hard,
not like you as a whole. Like it was different. You know what I mean? You was like I remember you from dancing at the school dances. That was the biggest thing. You're always best dancer, and you would dance from the time they started playing music.
Yep, until they turned it off.
Until they turned it off. That was always when we.
Well, that's what I did, man. You never really got. My grandma didn't let nobody over, but I ain't have nothing. Like at my grandma's house, she didn't buy toys. I know y'all seen my clothes weren't like nice clothes. Like I didn't have like Tommy Hilfiger and Nike. Like she'd buy me like weird looking shit. She'd shop good places like JCPenney's, but it'd be like this old time corduroys. But she didn't buy toys or none of that. And I didn't even have my own bedroom at the house. Like it was a bedroom, but it was like I had a naked woman on the wall, and it was like my grandmother's mom's room.
I want to say I remember going in there once.
Yeah, and it's all it was a bed, and I had a dresser, no toys. And when I finally got like a Super Nintendo, I was like, that's all I did. So I danced, played Super Nintendo. There was shit for me to do, or walk, play basketball.
Well, and like I said, though, like even with the military, I remember we was talking about that on the phone the other day.
Yeah.
I think the military, like the basic training, I've never been
Yeah.
through it, but I like all the books, even on like SEAL training and all
Yeah.
that. I think everybody could benefit from that. I think it changes you into a person of understanding.
Basic for me was like prison, right? It was like jail. It was like county jail. I was there for 90 days. That's how I felt, like how we were treated and everything. But I used it to my benefit, if that makes sense.
No,
For me, where I'm
100%.
where I grew up at out there outside of Cleveland, I put my street smarts into the thing, if that makes sense. Like there's
Yeah.
so many people from different walks of life at this one room, 40 people, 40 bunk beds, and each, all in one room, we're all sleeping next to each other. Man, we couldn't, when we went to the commissary to get PX to get commissary, we only could buy like razors and stuff. Even though they had other stuff, it was like, you can't get
Oh,
that.
you're only when you first get there, you're limited to what you can.
Yeah, you can't buy nothing. You ain't allowed to have nothing. Like they make sure you can't, no chocolate, nothing. So I would, this is coming back to the barracks with me, and I'm selling it. We made our dice out of toothpaste and fucking
So it
toilet
was
paper.
exactly like
And that's
that.
what I'm saying.
Like,
I ran up a check in
yeah.
basic. I missed it. I hated not having the freedom, but literally every 2 days I was sending envelopes home with money because I would sell contraband, and then me and my 3 other dudes that I kicked it with, we would gamble. We'd play Get Like Me or play dice, you know what I mean?
No,
Simple shit.
what I mean, but it like that. So that even
We weren't
just
allowed.
basic training though, like had to be beneficial in a way of you
Uh,
learn, like you had to have learned just from
It was
that type of experience. Because I know for me even like going to jail, it took a lot of jail, but I learned a lot from, like, it really kind of built me into who I am. And it's fucked up to say, but I grew up in jail, man. That's where I grew up. Like
Yeah.
I was out on drugs out here so much that I couldn't grow up out here because I was always on
Yeah.
some type of fucked up and doing shit I shouldn't be doing. So in there it was like clean, and I was talking to one of my buddies that does my tattoos, and he's like, when we was in jail together, like I don't ever want to go back, and I don't want to,
Yeah.
like Blair, what is it called, like
Glorified? Yeah.
But like I ain't never laughed as hard as I laughed in there in my life.
Yeah.
We would get, get to joking or laughing, then it was kind of like even being in school,
Yep.
get to joking and laughing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you find some of the best times in some of
That's
the
how it
shittiest
was
situations.
overseas at war, because it was like, if you could die, but you had those memories. Like all my holidays were spent in the gun truck, but it's me and a couple dudes. We made the best of it. If that
No.
makes sense. We made the best.
Did
of
you
it.
do? Was you in Afghanistan?
I went to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Can we get into that? One?
Yeah. Iraq was nothing.
Why you say that?
Because it wasn't even a full deployment. It was just like, hey, we're here, all don't unpack because they were bringing them back because we were originally supposed to be going to Iraq, and then when we came, they were like, no, we literally came back and was like, you're going to Afghanistan, like within months.
Now
and
what
I was
happened?
out there forever, and Afghanistan was shitty.
Now why? It's like what was?
Well, Iraq, okay, think about it. There was a war going on, so everything's built up. They're used to American soldiers being there. Where I went into Afghanistan, which is more guerrilla war, like, suicide bombers, kids, women under their burqa that you couldn't trust nobody, and it was a lot of mountains. So just imagine out here, if it was just dirt and mountains, there was nothing. Like, we had nowhere to live. When we first got there, we went to this place, and it was like transit, like lay your head down, but we're gonna go where you're gonna be. When we got there, it's nothing as far as eyes can see, just mountains and sand. And they're like, okay, we're about to drop, and they dropped this big ass fucking truck of gravel. And we got this thing called an E-tool with the shovel that folds, and we're out there. We have to spread the whole foundation with gravel. And then we had to build up like where we live. We were out there with the Seabees, the Navy's people, so they're like carpenters. That's their main military job, is to do that. So they helped us with a lot of stuff, and then finally we, living in a tent, sleeping in a thing. It's just.
Now is it like a big? It's like a big big tent, right?
No. Well, it depends. Like we went from 10-man tents, and then we went to 5-man tents,
Holy
Once we
shit.
got there, yeah, so it's like a bunch of people, and it's like you have your rack. It's
And
like,
when I read Lone Soldier and watched the movie. I think I read the book twice just because so I kind of like can picture in my mind being stuck in them mountainsides and them like you know what I mean. I can kind of picture how.
I'll give
it
you a
is.
story, and this is one I really don't like talking about it, but I do talk about it because this is what made me, I think, change, and I know this for a fact. We were on a mission, and there's four trucks. Convoy mission, truck after truck. We're going through a town, and we got hit by an IED, which is improvised explosive device. So while you're driving, you could be anything. It could be like this. It could be a cell phone, and just on the side of the road. Well, the IED blew up because we have these things in front of the trucks that like set them off so it doesn't blow up once. It's like a jammer almost. So it blows up, and we see it, and we're waiting for it to go, and then next thing you know, we get hit by an RPG. The RPG hits the first truck, and it goes down. And we were stuck because we can't. We're at pinch point. The truck in front of us, well, nobody's there. No one's running. And the truck we're in, since I was a mechanic in the military, that was my job. I joined as a mechanic, but I was putting so much fucking crazy shit, because it's like you're a soldier first, no matter what. If they need you,
Yeah.
So I come down from the gun thing, and I'm going to look to see if there's any way that we can, move shit or anything like that. And we was out there from like morning to nighttime. None of our radios were working. We tried to provide like fire. Realistically, if the enemy who was shooting the RPG and sniping with this building, because we didn't know exactly where he was, because every time we, peek out, ping, ping, he's tagging. So, I was scared for my life, and I have no more ammo. None of us did. We were just sitting there, pinched, and it was nighttime. It was getting dusk, and the comms started working. Just hear it, like, 'cause when you get those radios, they're filled. Like it's like a walkie-talkie, but a secured walkie-talkie. You know what I mean? It's not anybody. So you have to sync the fills, and for some reason it wasn't working. We were able to get the coordinates and like, hey, yeah, it's over here, but we can't see. They sent an airstrike. I have it all on camera because while I was there, I was hiding behind the truck. And for us to try to find the sniper, I took my digital camera that I took everywhere with me, and I set it on that jammer mount, trying to see if I can record where the gun, and then pull it and be like, okay, where are the, and it worked. But every time I put that thing out there, he was shooting at that lens, like at my, he was, trying to take somebody out. So that I came to grips, like in the terms, like this is where I'm gonna die, like in my mind, like, and the other people that were with me, they, like one dude freaked out, like he was just, I'm like, shut the fuck up, like, but I felt like I handled it well because I came like, this is it. And I really just sat there for hours, like these dudes, all they have to do is come.
Well, and there ain't no reason, like, I read a book about a guy that was in, I just finished it with, I forget his name, but he was a Navy SEAL, and he said that something had happened. They were doing actually a training exercise, and it was something about being in the water out in the ocean, and dude hit his head, and then they put him on one of the gurneys or whatever, and then the gurney fell in the water, and he was like, the sergeant or whatever, he was the main dude, so he got on the radio and he was yelling like, pull it up, and he got to yelling, and after the fact, the dude ends up living, whatever, and after the fact, another guy come up to him and he's like, man, like, you handled that terrible, like, by you yelling like that, all you're doing is, making it worse. Like, you need to be calm no matter, like that's why, like, you see a dude get shot in his head, like, you still need to be calm, and you need to complete your mission, and you need to do what you got to do to save him, or do whatever you got to do. I mean, like, yelling and getting excited is not going to help anyone.
Got another story that follow on that, because we were going through the towns, their mud houses, they make mud, the houses are mud, like they build it up, it dries, it's like that's how they go in, and since it's underground kinda, it's like cooler, but we were going in and we were looking for Taliban, pretty much, terrorists, going through because they were, it's like just think of the mafia. If the mafia was literally just running and doing whatever the fuck they wanted to, and like the civilians here were just scared because you can't stop them,
Well, and you can't tell the difference between them and civilians.
Yes. Well, a little bit because they had a little bit more grit to them. If it makes sense, you can tell like, oh yeah, that motherfucker's something,
Yeah.
But we went to this mud hut and it was me, my squad leader, 2 other soldiers, looking for these terrorists, and the guy, he speaks Farsi, I don't understand Farsi, so, I have my weapon, and the dude starts yelling, like he doesn't want us in the house, he don't want us in the house, but we're, in all reality, what happened was there was terrorists under the floorboards, and he, in there with his wife, his mom, and, his kids, he knows if we find them, that's just not all the terrorists, you know what I mean? So somebody's going to be like, y'all gave them up, and they're going to kill them, they're going to slaughter this family. So he's yelling, trying to like get out, like kind of like trying to divert attention, and my squad leader was like, calm him down, and I'm like, hey, and he's, grabbing at me, so I, the gun, butted him, just right here.
That's crazy.
But this is the crazy part, that was my first confirmed kill.
Really?
I bled to death. I didn't mean to, you know what I mean? It was just like, I was scared, you know what I mean? I'm in here, this dude's yelling, he's grabbing me, my squad leader, who's supposed to, you know what I mean? He's like, calm him down. I'm like, what, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, like, for real, I'll tell you this, a lot of stuff I did in the military, I was not trained properly for, if that makes sense. Shit really hit the fan. So, basic was cool, you know what I mean?
Well, and you was over there pretty much right at the start of the...
Yeah.
When it, you know what I mean? So they was just shooting people over there.
Oh, yeah, they all,
you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't...
Blowing people the hell up, man, talking about cleaning out my friend's scalp and like hair from like the heaters, like from a blown up truck, they call it a detail, and you gotta clean, like say a truck gets blown up, we can't just send it, because it has to be on paper, everything's paperwork, you can't just send it back here, you have to, it says blood and guts and stuff, and man, I remember volunteering for that shit. They were like, cause they won't say exactly what the detail is. They'll be like, who wants the detail? And over there, it's like, if I wasn't sitting in the fucking sun working on a fucking vehicle, I was on a mission where I'm pulling guard duty. So it's like, I could be out here in the fucking heat, and yeah, or I could do something else. So it's just really like, a lose-lose situation most of the time. And if I was you would think if I was at the motor pool working on vehicles, I'd eat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Nah, we were at work before that, like, that shit used to piss me off. Oh, I'm never eating them. I don't eat those. Just to let you know, I don't eat those. I starved myself. But every time they gave me MREs, the only thing I'll eat out of it is the chocolate peanut butter because it tastes like melted Reese's. But everything else is sickening to me. I can't stomach it. The little heaters that it comes with, you put water in it, and it's that sulfur, and it smells, instantly makes me sick.
Yeah, I've never ate one. I seen them at Walmart, I think, one time, but never...
yeah, that's nothing there. Ugh.
Just all that, just you saying all that stuff, like, you know what I mean, in a way, I mean, I don't want to be in a fucked up way, like, it kind of made you, I wouldn't say made you a man, but made you, like, you know what I mean, like, you grew up, like, and when you see shit like that, I know I ain't seen nothing like that. I've seen some fucked up shit, and the more fucked up shit I see, the more I realize how short life is. And me and him was talking. One of my buddies is coming on here. Young Mac. He was in a pretty bad car accident, and ever since he got into that accident, his rap career and like him like taking the situation of a business out of it serious has went from like here. Shot through the roof, and I think that when you have any type of near-death experience or any type of like you possibly could have died, like you learn that life is too short to not do what you want. That's why I'm doing this, man. I'm not, like I said, this isn't like the whole YouTube thing wasn't like a real big thing. I do want to be a public speaker at some point, and like I like having like what you know what I mean. Like for you probably would have come over, with if I didn't have his shit. But I'd have never had Scott over here. You know what I mean, right or wrong. I'd have never. You reached out to me.
Right.
Was asking me about this, and it's nice to have you guys over, kicking it, just talking shit. You get to see my house. Like this is my kingdom.
Yeah.
It might not be fucking, perfect, but it's mine, man. And it's like, this helps me stay on track and it makes me know that I want to have more friends come over in the future. You know Definitely. What I mean? I want to meet interesting people. I like hearing your stories. I like hearing Scott's stories. Like that's what I like about this whole fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. That's what's up. That's what's up. But you're definitely right. You being in this house, it's like this is my domain, and this is what I have. You're like, and it's nice to have people like that, like things like that. That's how I felt. Like I said, 4 years ago, like it was bad. I had a bad divorce, man. She cheated. I left. Then she tried to kill me. We're on good terms now. But she came at me with a knife, and I don't do that. You know, especially all the stuff I've been through. That shit just like. Come on now.
Oh yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, she went to jail, but what sucked is when she went to jail, she came back, I got out, and you know, I did a protective order because I'm not trying to deal with that. I was working at the IRS at the time, you know what I mean? So, I was like, yeah, I couldn't, so I had to quit my job. My PTSD even got worse because, you know, it's stress. Like, that shit, like, my body started shutting down and shit. I'm so glad. I even stopped being able to fucking move for a while. Like, it was weird. Like, I couldn't, like, say you were like, hey, bro, come downstairs. And I was just from that door. It would take me at least 20 minutes. Like, just to get up, I'd have to, like, it really took that much of a toll. And I never thought stress could do that. But people say stress, like, will hurt you.
Yeah, well,
So, I couldn't work anymore. I had 4 kids, you know, packed my service dog and everything that I could from my old house into a truck. Sold a lot of my stuff to, you know, so I could, you know, get the truck and, you know, gas and stuff. Came back here and moved in with, I call him my brother. It's my ex-wife's brother, you know, and moved in with him for 2 months. Went to the, well, you know, went to the homeless shelter so I could get my VA to get in somewhere. Did that. Shit. Last year we just bought a house. You know, I met this girl. She changed my life. But you know, bought a house. You know, and it's like, cause I always the fact that I had to lose my house because when she didn't come back. I was married to her. I can't just sell the house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right,
I need her signature. So I had to lose my, like, you know what I mean? Something I worked hard for. So it was just like, it's so, you know, within that time frame, it's like, you know, like that. I think that was the military too, just making me like, hey, you know, it could be fucking worse, no matter what.
Well, you know what?
Head down, keep footing.
That's like, forget what dude's name is, the rapper. He in one of his songs, he's like, you know, your worst day is somebody's always remember your worst day is always somebody's best day. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you know, I look at it. 5 years ago, I was homeless. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing, and I was able to build what I got now. And it's a miracle, is what I'm gonna put it in. You know what I mean? Like that's why I think, you know, in a way Scott reached out to me, because he knew where I was at and where I've been able to come to from there to now is huge, man. It's huge.
It's hard to get here, but it's easy to fall. You know what I mean? It's easy to fall off, but it's hard, and it's like once you get there, it's like, okay, I'm here. And it gets comfortable, but you know, like you said, you get that feeling of the top of the world feeling. But that's like you said, this is your kingdom, it's your domain. So as soon as you pull up or wake up in the morning, like, okay, this is your top of the world.
Yeah, you know? And you know what? A lot of times I'll wake up and feel like I don't have enough, or I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'll be like just in one of the moods, like
down.
Yeah, man. And I think it goes up and down. But one thing that I've actually figured out is if you're doing something you love, then you always have good days. Like I look forward every week to who's coming next now. You know what I mean? Whose brain do I get to pick? Who do I get to hang out with? And I think it's I don't know. I also want like my kids to see me doing some positive stuff. And I have a really shitty name around here. This is a way for me to change that. And people will be like, okay, well, he's just keeps doing all this positive stuff. Like he's got to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some type of a good person, man. And I want to be able, like my next move is to try to figure out how to help people other than just with my voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's part of the reason I reached out too, because even though, you know, with where you're at now, doing great, clean, what, 5 years? You said?
Well, I mean, I've had my bumps in the road, right. But I'll say getting it together for 5 years, I've had a couple stretches where I've fucked up for a little while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ain't gonna sit here and fucking...
But you're still, you know, getting yourself together, but, you know, like you said, you're still in a hole that you're trying to work your way out of. Getting clean's just the first battle. Many after that, because then you got to build relationships back, you got to build trust back, you got to fix that reputation, and So that was kind of why I reached out.
Wonderful.
To maybe I could help with that a little bit. People see that somebody who never associated with that kind of stuff
Hell yeah,
on here
appreciate
with you, maybe build a little trust with some people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And they say that your reputation is like once you fuck it up, that's the hardest thing to rebuild. And I look at it as like doing this, like I ain't got nothing to hide. You know what I mean? I'll put it all out there, and then what can you really say?
Right.
What can you know what I mean? If I'm telling you that, piece of shit for this long, I've done this, I've done that, like, yeah, I've made a shit ton of mistakes, but I ain't making them anymore. I just don't want my 3-year-old that I have up there and this new little girl I'm having, I don't want them to ever even know from now back then. Like, I don't want them, other than what they can watch or whatever, I don't want them to know anything about my past life. I don't want them to have to go through what my kids went through. Like I was telling you, we was talking earlier, Scott, I said, with my kids have seen a lot of shit, man. A lot of shit. Like, they have seen me at my worst, and now they see me at my best, and I'm doing my best raising them for what I'm working with, from where they're at, where I'm at. They're my son lived with my mom for so long, my stepdaughter lived with her grandma for so long, so and they're not brother and sister, they're stepbrother, stepsister. Now they live together. This house is pretty big, but I have so many kids that it's starting to not be big enough. Yeah, it gets small. And that's a rough thing to to get all the different opinions and different types of people, for them to all get along and work as a unit, because we are a unit whether we want to be or not.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ain't like we don't have, them kids don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I got a choice, you got a choice, my wife got a choice, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but when it
don't.
comes to kids, they don't have a choice on what they get to do. They're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely understandable.
but, alright, well, appreciate y'all coming, man.
No problem.
I'd like to get you back sometime. Maybe we can do a freestyle once I get my other shit set up. And, all that. It was nice.
I'm glad you
having
enjoyed that music, man.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did. I'll post that on some.
That's another thing. Like you just said, he just asked me. He was like, because I was talking about this, and he was like, "Oh, you do this too?" And I was like, "No, I kind of want to. I have the drive. Like, I make music. I do all this jack of all trades, but I don't have the drive to put myself out there. You know what I mean?
But once you do, man, it's sweet, man. It's like you know what I mean. Look, we're just sitting here talking shit.
Yep.
It's nothing. You know what I mean? It's not like you got to do a bunch of super special things. It's just really putting a little bit of money into what you got and finding the people to get on here. That's probably my biggest issue, which hasn't been lately, but I'm sure in the future. You know what I
It's
mean?
not going to be hard. And I was going to tell you, man. You know how you did the live the other day and your podcast. It's like, you could always do what is it called? A digital interviews, to where it's like you can screen record. You can screen record Google Meet or anything like that. And have your podcast where it's like you guys are sitting next to each other. I don't know if you watch Around the Horn on ESPN, where it's like the little boxes everybody's talking.
Yeah.
It's so you always have that and paid advertisements.
I know. I want to
just find somebody that's like, hey, I just want to drop,
I want to do.
Can I drop your,
what I want to do.
Pizza place. It could be anything.